Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. We're doing another Khans of Tarkir Swiss draft. Uh, what do we got? Meandering Tower Shell is the rare. Not a huge fan anymore. I used to like him early on, and he's pretty good defensively, and he's good against decks that play islands, but overall, not a huge fan. Merak Nightblade is pretty good, probably worthy of a first pick. It's also Mystic of the Hidden Way, which is good. Savage Punch, which I like. Bonkin, Weapon Master. I think we're going to take the Nightblade first. Why am I picking this one? Well, there's a lot of +1/+1 counter cards, and they tend to work pretty well with Merak Nightblade, like Incremental Growth, Dragon Scale Boon, Armament Core, stuff like that. So Outlast cards like this in this format have a lot of little combo-ish stuff, which I like. Okay, well, we can follow up with Abzan Charm, which is quite powerful. There's also another Nightblade in here, and there's a Feat of Resistance, which is also good and on color with Abzan. But Abzan Charm is yet another card that distributes +1/+1 counters, as well as good removal and card advantage, so way too versatile to pass up here, I think, and certainly worthy of a second pick. Okay, I think it's a well, I was gonna say I think it's an easy Opulent Palace here, but there is a Bonkin, which is yet another card that combos with Nightblade, and I think it's actually worthy of taking over the fixing in this case because First Strike Death Touch is pretty insane. So this would put us base black-white, I think, unless, I mean, it's still a chance we're base white-green splash black, but the black-white base works better because you get the warrior bonuses, despite the fact that our first two creatures are not warriors. I'm going to take the Bonkin. First Strike Death Touch is pretty amazing, and being able to instant speed give both of them First Strike and Death Touch if they're both out is really insane, so I like it. Okay, so now I think we can take Salt Road Patrol. Not the best card. Certainly not a super exciting pick by any means, but actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm a huge Death Frenzy fan, and the amount of value you can get against some aggressive decks is pretty insane. So I've come to love Death Frenzy in this format, and works very well with Nightblade. And there's a chance you can get your Bonkin out of range of dying to Death Frenzy. So seems good to me. I also like the Woolly Loxodon, and Rite of the Serpent is also playable. Okay, now I think we're just going to take the Scoured Barrens. Killshot's a good card, but I'm not, I mean, I am a fan of it. I do like Killshot. I don't have any problems with it. I just feel like I'd rather have the Scoured Barrens now. I always hate when I am finished with my deck and I have more than enough playables, but not nearly enough fixing. So you just have to be, very particular where you pick up your fixing, and I think this is an okay spot to do it. Okay, well, we have a Skull Hunter, which is quite good. There's also a Student, but outside of Jeskai, I'm not a big fan of the Student. In Jeskai, it's great, but we're going to take the Skull Hunter because it's a warrior, and Abzan is good places to pick up warriors. Just a good card in general. Nothing fancy, but pretty good. Okay, so now actually have some good options. Sage-Eye Harrier is a warrior, which is pretty good, but I kind of like the pet in decks like this. The reason being because being able to put +1/+1 counters on a lifelinker can be really beneficial. If we end up getting any Abzan guides, the pet's pretty underwhelming. I think another thing to say about pet is that there's really not many cards that morph for 2 mana, so I think people never expect you to be able to unmorph Sidisi's pet. But if we don't get a lot of pumping, pet's not going to be very good. It also is not a warrior like the flyer, so there was a reasonable argument to take the flyer there. But I do like a good throttle, but I think I am going to take the Blossoming Sands over it. I'm not exactly sure why. I do like throttle. It is removal. It's a good spell, but getting this Blossoming Sands now just, I feel like, is going to help us a lot. help us stay in line with what we're trying to do here. Alright, so now it's Rite of the Serpent versus Tusked Colossedon. I think I'll take the Rite of the Serpent. I like the card in general, so no issues there. Alright, I don't mind Despise. Sagu Archer is actually fine too, but I actually like Despise in this format, so I'm going to take it. Unyielding Krumar is a warrior, so seems fine. And a second Rite of the Serpent is fine too. Alright, Dreadmaw, we'll take that for sideboard. It's a nice sideboard card to have. Banner that's on color seems fine. There's a chance we play it, so I can leave it in for now until we find something better. I mean, technically I can main deck Dreadmaw too, but I don't really like main decking it. I think it's a much better sideboard card against aggressive decks. Oops. So only one morph guy so far, but our removal looks good. Double Rite of the Serpent can get a little bit pricey, but that might be all the more reason to include an Abzan banner in this deck. Running a banner totally depends on your curve, I think. Ooh, open a non-color rare. Pretty good one at that. So I'm going to slam this Ivory Tusk Fortress. I also like Sultai Flare and Alpine Grizzly and Longshot Squad in this deck, but gotta love that Ivory Tusk Fortress. We already have a couple pretty good Outlast dudes. Maybe we're less of a warrior deck and more of just a Sultai value, or Sultai Abzan value deck. Just realized these all got moved over. It's throwing me off. So far, pretty nice start. I'm pretty satisfied with where we're at. Okay, Outpost fixes for a couple colors, but there is also Debilitating Injury, Feat of Resistance, both of which are insane. Jungle Hollow also fixes. I'm kind of feeling the Abzan guide. These guys are really one of the main reasons to be in Abzan. The lifelink can, against aggressive decks, really takes the game over. So I'm pretty tempted to take this Abzan guide. Feat of Resistance is also going to be insane with Bonkin and Nightblade, though. I mean, there's a chance the guide tables, but in decks like this, you can honestly play as many Abzan guides as you want. They're just really good. I mean, I also want the injury. It's tough, man. That is tough. I mean, there's a higher chance that the Abzan guide tables than the Debilitating Injury, but I really want this guide. I don't know what to say. I'm going to take the guide. There's just so many good cards for us in here. All the fixing, all the removal, all the tricks. I want it all. Seems like a fine time to take Watcher of the Roost. I like the card. We already have a few white picks to flip it with, and free morph effects are pretty uncommon. Like this, uncommon. So we'll take it. We're not really passing anything. We can't play the ride down, really. I don't know how to make Ugin's Nexus good. So let's take the Watcher of the Roost. Another Abzan guide seems pretty insane. There's also Blossoming Sands and Throttle and Hooting Mandrills, so all sorts of good picks in here. I think I'm just going to take a second guide. Like I said, you can really play as many guides as you want in an Abzan deck. They are pretty excellent. Okay, so now my options are, do I want this Mardu Ascendancy and try and splash for it? I think that's more cute than good. It is a good card, though. I think I'm going to take the Sultai Scavenger just because I like it. It is a warrior. And we have Despise and possibly some ways to make some early trades. So it seems like a fine pickup here. Okay, so now there's Alpine Grizzly, which is also fine, but maybe we should take a look at our color instead of the curve. So currently we're slightly more white than green, but we're pretty close. So we could go either way. We could very easily start going more black-green, which I don't have a problem with. In which case, I'd probably take the Grizzly because I really like that card. And we don't have a ton of morphs. There's also Salt Road Patrol, though, that has the Outlast. Now I'm going to go back to Curve and just take a look where we fit better. I guess we can afford to take a 4-drop here. I'll take the Patrol. I think I'd still rather be in more white-black splash green territory, if possible. What do we got now? Another warrior that flies, blocks well. Windscarred Crag, which could still let us splash for Mardu, possibly. Defiant Strike doesn't look like it really fits in this deck. I don't think we'll need the Sage Eye Harrier. I'm just going to take the Windscarred Crag in case it pans out for us. Alright, I'm fine with taking a second Sultai Scavenger. We do have a Rush of Battle, which the lifelink is kind of a moot point when it comes to Abzan Guide, but we do have 1, 2... I guess we only have 3 other warrior cards. I'll take a second Scavenger. There's still a chance we can find some early spells to trade off, I think. Either trade off some creatures or use removal, like Debilitating Injury if we see any more. But I'm fine with taking another Scavenger. I like it. Alright, I can take Swiftwing. I don't think it's the greatest card in the world, but otherwise I guess I could take the Erase, which is a better sideboard card. I'm not a huge Swiftwing fan, and we don't look like we're really beat down. It is good defensively against some aggro decks, and it's a good card to like put +1/+1 counters on because it's got the first strike, but I still think I'm going to take Erase for the sideboard. I just don't think I'm going to end up playing the Swiftwing, and it would be nice to have an Erase for sideboard. Just Skycharm tabling is pretty telling of what's open in this draft, but I'm fine taking a War Behemoth. It's a good card. Solid. I don't need any of these. I guess we'll take a Mastodon just to cut black. I don't need a second banner, I don't think. And I don't really need a Molting Snakeskin, but I'll continue to cut black, I guess. Alright, we'll let someone have a tracker, tell them we're not in red. Definitely let someone play Lynn's, whatever it's called. 63 drafts, and I still don't even know what that card's called. Never had anybody play it against me. Okay, so I think it's doubtful we're going to need this banner. I think there's a pretty good chance we're probably going to end up cutting one of these Rite of the Serpents for something cheaper. We basically just need to lower our curve Gs. That is a good open. So get an awesome open here. On color fixing, which I would like. I think at this point I'm going to value fixing very high in our first few picks. We already have a couple guides, but if we could get like 2 more land fixers, I'd be much happier with this deck. But I'm thrilled to be first picking a Siege Rhino. That is awesome. Been very fortunate with our opens in packs 2 and 3. What did we first pick? What was our Merrick Nightblade was our very first pick. Okay. There's a Crackling Doom, but I'm just going to take the Blossoming Sands, just slam dunk it. It's on color fixing that this deck really wants. It's going to help our mana base tremendously. And to be honest, we're really not giving up much of anything at all. A Witness of the Ages or a War Behemoth. War Behemoth probably tables. Alright, Alabaster Kirin is quite good. There is a Windscarred Crag, which would help me splash Mardu again, but I just don't think it's necessary, so I'd rather take the Kirin here, which is another one of those cards that's great to put counters on. I think kind of the unfortunate thing is we didn't find any like Dragon Scale Boons or Incremental Growths or Armament Cores. We did get an Abzan Charm, which can put counters on, but we didn't see any of the other ones. Like, this deck would be fantastic with a Dragon Scale Boon, I think, but pretty happy to take an Alabaster Kirin here. It's a good card. Okay, so I could take the Kintree Invocation, but there is a Dragon Scale Boon too, but I am going to slam the Debilitating Injury. The injury really is excellent in general in that it keeps our curve down, allows us to remove Morph guys, that they play on turn 3, and it's going to make our Sultai Scavenger cheaper. All those things come together to be quite good. I actually think Kintry Invocation's pretty good in this deck too. We have some high toughness dudes like Ivory Tusk Fortress, Salt Road Patrol, Siege Rhino, Abzan Guides, Sidisi's Pet. Kintry Invocation looks excellent in here, but I'd still rather have the injury. I want some removal. I think that's gonna finish this deck off nicely. All right, I think I'm just gonna slam Feat of Resistance here. It's pretty much exactly something I want since it gives a +1/+1 counter. So it's going to interact tremendously well with Merrick Nightblade and Einok Bonkin, and even Ivory Tusk Fortress. So, and it's a card that goes to our yard to make our scavengers cheaper. So there really is like no downside of Feat of Resistance in this deck. It's all upside. All right, so Dead Drop is an option, but it seems like I would have a hard time making that work. I think I'd rather have the Dragon Scale boon. I probably want to make a cut in order to play it. There is also a Mardu Hateblade, which is a card that I do like, but I think we're more of a mid-range deck in general. And for that reason, I'm a little more tempted to cut Unyielding Krumar. Even though it is a warrior, I'd rather cut a 4-drop now, and I think Krumar is my weakest one. Salt Road Patrol there's an argument for, but the fact that it has Outlast makes me like it more than Unyielding Krumar. It's just going to have better synergy with Merrick Nightblade and Ivory Tusk Fortress. So I think we're just going to slam this Dragon Scale boon and cut the Krumar. Alright, Blossoming Sands here. Very happy and excited to pick that up. Very beneficial for us. I'm going to just get rid of this Windscarred Crag now. Alright, Jungle Hollow table. That's excellent too. On color fixing. We've already got all the 22 cards that we need for this deck. I think it's very realistic that we're just going to end up playing 18 lands. I don't think this is a 17 land deck. We have 4 6-drops, even though these can potentially be cheaper. Happy to pick up that Jungle Hollow. Get another one. This is beautiful. 2 Warden of the Eyes tabling and Jeskai Charm tabling. Whoever's in Jeskai is going to have a very good deck. But the good news for us is we also have an amazing deck. We have Siege Rhino, Ivory Tusk Fortress. Our removal is perhaps a little bit lacking, but we do have Debilitating Injury, Abzan Charm, Double Right of the Serpent, Death Frenzy. So we're no pushover deck at all. I think anybody who plays this is going to have themselves a hell of a match. I doubt we need a second Dreadmaw, but none of these cards are very good. So I guess I take... I don't know. I actually really don't care about any of these cards. I guess I'll take a Goblin Slide. Maybe someone plays it or wants it. Could take a second pet. I guess I don't have a problem with that really. We do have a Feat of Resistance, Abzan Charm, Dragon Scale boon that works well with it. It survives Death Frenzy fairly easily. I don't think I run it over anything, but we can take it. Defiant Strike, I guess we just take it away from the Jeskai deck because it's just such a good card for them. Mardu Banner, sure, we'll take it. Hateblade tabling is pretty amazing. We may, there's probably a pretty good chance that we end up playing it. And I cut something that's underwhelming, if I can figure out what that is. Maybe one of our Right of the Serpents. We seem like we don't need 2 of them. I'd rather have the Hateblade, which comes down cheaply and makes our Skull Hunter actually a decent card. Yeah, I think we probably cut one of the Right of the Serpents. Let's separate stuff out. Let's take a look at where we're at here. Let's get all of our Morph guys in the middle. Double Abzan Guide is quite good. I'm happy that we picked these up early because it didn't seem like the other one we saw would have tabled. So now we have good lifelink going. We have good pump. Yeah, we have double Abzan Guide, Siege Rhino. This deck looks great. It looks like a really good deck. I think we are going to cut one of the Right of the Serpents. I think the card's fine. I don't really like running it in multiples because it's kind of pricey. And we also have... I mean, maybe there's an argument to cut the Despise because some people don't like it, but I like knowing what my opponent has. I like knowing what their morph cards are. I like being able to do stuff early to turn off their early plays. It's just another way to buy time. We don't have a lot of card advantage spells, but this also makes our Sultai Scavengers cheaper, which is nice. Our removal is looking pretty good. Debilitating Injury, Abzan Charm, Dragon Scale Boon of Feet are nice tricks. Death Frenzy and Right of the Serpent are quite good. We have some Death Touch options, so we have good blockers. We have some good evasion, good good finishers. Yeah, overall, I think this deck looks very good. I think the things that we lose against are high value Warden of the Eye, Treasure Cruise style Jeskai decks can get us if we don't have a good start. But overall, I think this deck looks quite good. So we're certainly more white than green. So I think we want a nice mix of black and white, and then the rest goes to green. So we don't need a banner. I think we've got the Barrens, we've got double Jungle Hollow, and we have triple Blossoming Sands. So very, very happy with our mana base already. So we have 5 sources of green, 4 sources of white, and 3 sources of black. So let's see what they say. This would be 8 sources of white, 8 sources of black, and 8 sources of green. Is that right? Wow. It's pretty good, actually. Maybe I could cut back to 7 sources of green, and then for that reason, maybe we go up to 9 sources of black. So 9 sources of black, 8 sources of white, 7 sources of green. That is pretty good. That is an impressive mana base. I think that satisfies me really well, actually. So I don't think we should have mana issues. There's not a great chance that we have mana issues. I think our mana base looks great. I think we have some very high impact, high power cards. I like our pump effects. I like our evasion. I like the defensive cards we have, like War Behemoth, that hold down the ground well, while we find our high value, high impact cards like Siege Rhino and Ivory Tusk Fortress. Some more instant speed removal would have been nice, but I did pass throttles for fixing, which I don't regret because we ended up with a very nice 22 card deck. So I think I'm going to run it like this. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the deck. I think it looks great. I think there's a very good chance it could win. So we'll run it like this, and we'll see you round 1.